Welcome to the Feast Life, where we empower you, the modern homeschool mom, to create a life and homeschool you love, one founded on faith, family, freedom, and fun. I'm your host, Julie Ross, creator of the award-winning homeschool curriculum, A Gentle Feast, and a certified Christian life coach. For more information on today's episode and to access my free gift for you, check out thefeastlife.me. Charlotte Mason once said, "Life should be all living, not a mere tedious passing of time." So on this show, we seek to savor the feast of life. Girl, grab your favorite beverage and pull up a chair. You are welcome at this table. What if I told you that some of the most damaging things our children carry into adulthood weren't said in anger or cruelty, but in everyday moments by loving parents using words we never thought twice about? Well, in today's episode, we're going to get to the heart of this. If you've ever laid in bed at night thinking, did I say the wrong thing? Did I crush my child's spirit? Did I miss a chance to speak life? Well, you're not alone, and you're not too late. I'm thrilled to welcome back my friend Amy Hughes, a homeschooling mother of 9 who just released a powerful new book called Words Like Honey. In it, she dives deep into how the words we speak, especially the automatic ones, can unintentionally harm or beautifully nourish our children's hearts and faith. We're going to talk about neuroscience, child development, family culture, and most importantly, the kind of legacy we're leaving with our words. From phrases like be careful, to hurry up, to how we repair the times when we get things wrong. This conversation is packed with grace, practical wisdom, and so much hope. If you've ever wanted to be more intentional with the atmosphere of your home and the tone of your homeschool, you need this episode. So grab a cup of coffee or your favorite laundry pile, and let's listen into my conversation with Amy. Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Feast Life. I'm your host, Julie Ross, and I'm here today with Amy Hughes, who has been on the podcast before. So welcome back, Amy.
Thank you so much, Julie.
If you haven't listened to our past episode where we talked about giving our children the gift of a slow childhood, I highly recommend that one. But don't leave right now. Listen to this one first, and then you can go back. We'll put that one in the show notes because it is excellent as well. But I have Amy on again because she just came out with a book. Congratulations, Amy.
Thank you.
And I'm so excited about this because I think it is such an important message. Your book is called Words Like Honey. Can you give us a little bit about what you mean by that title?
Yeah, so it's Words Like Honey, how to avoid unintentional harm, model kindness, and nurture your child's faith through what you say.
Mm.
And the unintentional is
Yes,
really
that's
key
key.
here, because obviously most of us as parents know we're not out to belittle our kids or put them down. We know there are things that you just don't say, but we're not always aware that there are words and phrases and ways of speech that are just ingrained in us, ingrained in society, ingrained from our own childhoods or from our churches or whatever, that might not be sending kids the message that we want to send. And they can actually cause harm to them in their developing, their stage of development that can continue on through their life. So this is about awareness. It's saying, you know what, you are a great parent and you want to say the best things for your kids, but there are some things we just don't think about. And so let's talk about them and become aware of what we may be saying that maybe we shouldn't.
Okay, so I want to dive deeper in that. But before we get into the weeds here, can you just give people, if they haven't listened to that other episode, they don't know who you are, like just a little bit about you and your family, and I guess like what led you to be like, I need to write a book about our words? I'm guessing there
Yeah.
might be some experience there.
Yeah. Okay. So I am a homeschooling mom, just starting our 19th year of homeschooling.
Woohoo!
I have 9 kids.
You're amazing.
Or crazy. I'm not sure which. Some days amazing, some days crazy. We live in California and yeah, we do our thing. I decided to write a book about words unintentionally, actually. I was writing a different book and this was a chapter in that book. It was some things I was thinking about and playing with because for me, I have trouble being intentional with my words. I am known to cut people off, to not think before I talk and just say the most outlandish thing. And I realized that as I became a parent, that is not actually the best parenting practice. Go
What?
figure. Yeah.
Go with our
Actually,
flesh
it's
and whatever just happens.
right. It's
Oh,
actually
okay.
a pretty bad parenting practice. So I had to start being really intentional about how I talked and what I said. And so as I was writing this other book and this chapter, I just had more and more to say. And I realized this needed to be its own thing. I, yeah, I don't know.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I like what you said that we can just live on autopilot and we might not be saying or doing the things that are really the most beneficial for our family. And so it does take that intentionality, and the word that you used
Yeah.
earlier is awareness.
Mhm.
So for you, and in writing this book, you said that we can cause unintentional harm. Obviously, none of us want to harm our kids. And we know what things not to say sometimes because either we heard that growing up or we watch TV. Like we know what's not hurtful. So
Right.
what would we, how can we have awareness around what might be unintentionally harmful? Things that maybe we don't even think about?
Yeah. So, one thing that really helped me was to learn about child development and neuroscience and
Oh, good. I love me some neuroscience. Let's get into
just understanding where the child's brain was and how they didn't actually view things, or their brains weren't actually even taking in what we were saying
it.
the way that we think that they would. I give this example in the book about how what really opened my eyes to the way that kids our view what we say is when my daughter was about 13, we were having this conversation about Robin Hood, and because had been reading it, and I posed the question, is it ever okay to steal? And she she said something that completely threw me off. She said, a long time ago, dad stole that cream from the store. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? And she goes, when we lived in Washington, and so we're talking like when she was 6. So this is
Oh,
7 years
okay.
later. She's like, when we lived in Washington, you guys went to the store and you came home, and grandma said, oh, where did you find that? And dad said, oh, I stole it. And he was joking. He was joking. It was a joke. He's just
I
making a
thought you
joke.
were
Oh,
going
I
to say,
stole
oh,
the
I got a
cream.
steal on this, like a
No,
bargain.
no, he was just making a joke. But she, at 6 years old,
Was
took
literally
that in.
right.
She heard that, oh, dad stole that. And she knew that her dad was a great man, that
Yeah.
he loved God. And but he had found a reason in her mind that it was
Yeah.
okay to steal something. So she lived for seven
Oh, wow.
years thinking her dad had stolen something, all because of just flippant, not thought out comments, phrases. And it was that when she said that and said, oh, but dad stole that one time and told me about that, I'm like, oh my goodness.
Um,
But that was really telling for me that we say things around kids, we say things to kids that we expect they're going to grasp and understand on our level,
mm.
but they're not there yet. Their stage of development is different than where an adult is. Their prefrontal cortexes aren't fully developed till the 20s, and that's their foundation of problem solving and critical thinking, all these different things. And we just say things to our kids thinking they're going to get it, they're going to understand exactly what we're saying, but they don't always. They hear something different or they take it in a way that we don't intend.
It's great that you had that opportunity to correct that.
Yeah, I know,
So your
right?
daughter's not like some baby, let me tell you about my dad to your grandchildren. But parents might not have that opportunity where they can know that. So how
Yeah.
do you know if what you are saying or if a joke that you make is causing unintentional harm or not?
Yeah. So there are, in the book, I go through different types of speech, such as threats and punishments, or threats and ultimatums, shame and comparison, we may talk to our kids. And then I also go through, let's see, different phrases that are not, that we can tell are not what kids, that they may not be taking in the right way, specific phrases. And then I also talk about what we can do to fix things, repair things if we're not aware or when we make mistakes. I think that, there are, because we're not perfect, none of us are. And so we are going to say these things. We are going to have these times when we say something we shouldn't or don't consider where our kids are. And those are the times, or our kids are already way older. Maybe they're late teens, young adult. And those are the times when we need to just humble ourselves and be like, I didn't know any better. I'm sorry. Now I'm working on it. Now I know differently. And just let them know. And they appreciate that humility and that honesty when we do that. But in terms of like becoming aware of what you say
Mhm.
specifically, I always say I go through this in the book. It's a 4 R's: rethink, replace, reframe, and repair. And the rethink is just taking a word or phrase that you commonly use and thinking about it. Is this sending the message that I want to send to my kids? Are they able to take this in the way that I mean it? And as we think about that and gain awareness that maybe this isn't the right thing to say, then we can either replace, think of something totally different to say. We can reframe, which is realizing maybe this is the message I want to send, but I should say it in a different way. Maybe say it without comparison, say it without a threat, just say it differently. So we think, how can we say this differently in a way that's going to reach them and not cause any issues? And then again, repair in the end when we do mess up, because we will. We always do, especially with these phrases that are so ingrained in us and these ways of talking that are so habitual. They're hard to get rid of. And so we need to be aware that we're not always going to do it, even when we're trying, even when we're intentional. And those are the times when we just say sorry.
Yeah, that's so powerful. The repair really is such a key component. And I
Mhm.
think it's easy to get down on ourselves when we do say something that just comes out of our mouth and we're like, oh, can I put that back? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
We can just see our little kids just crumble and we're like,
Yeah,
and yes, we need to learn from it and do better, but that repair is so key and is really what's going to help that relationship through the
yeah,
term more than anything else, I feel like.
absolutely.
So what you're talking about reminds me of the Bible verse, like our words have the power of life and death.
Mm,
So being aware, rethinking, replacing, reframing, like you talk about repair with these
yeah,
words that could potentially cause harm,
yeah.
the death part. Do you also talk about speaking words of life? How have you seen
Oh,
that? Yeah.
yeah. Throughout the book, I give things that we should rethink and maybe not say, as well as what you can say instead, what you can replace that with. And then I also do talk so much about words of life, what we should say, how we should talk to our kids, different things like how we are so quick to be sitting in a room with our kids and go, they're tapping their foot, and we're so quick to say, knock it off. But we're not necessarily always thinking, what can I affirm in my child? What can I call out in them? I try so hard whenever I give that quick flippant knock it off, or
Cut
would
it
you
out.
stop that,
Yep.
to then a little bit later be intentional about, thank you so much for your help, or you are such a joy, you bring such life to our family, and to really speak something positive to them. It's like, I think it's the 5-to-1 ratio is like, for every one cutting negative comment, you need five positive, life-giving comments in order to negate the harm from that negative one. And so again, it's so easy just to call out those things that are annoying us, those things that are bothering us. And it's so hard to remember to to affirm. and to say the kind thing. But those are the things our kids need. Those are the words like honey. Those are the kind words that are healing to the body and the soul and help them grow. And so, yeah, the book talks a lot about affirmation and how we can give life to our kids with our words and how we can transition from a place of maybe not being thoughtful in what we say to a place of really thinking about and considering how we talk to our kids and how we affirm them and who they are.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie Parental Guidance with Billy Crystal and Bette Midler?
I don't think so.
It's so funny. It is hilarious. But they're like grandparents and they're their kids, their grandkids. It's so funny. Marissa Tomei is the mom. But in that, there's a scene and someone says something mean, and the girl was like, "Hey, that's a put down. I need three put ups." And so we just like jokingly say that in my family now. It's funny.
That's so
Um,
funny.
kind of like
That's
what you're talking about.
absolutely
That's
though.
a
It's
funny way,
so
but like
true.
if someone is okay, yeah, I get that. I don't mean to sometimes say things like just knock it
Mhm.
off or whatever. It's like an automatic response.
Yeah.
I do want to be more intentional, but that doesn't come naturally.
Yeah.
I wasn't modeled that. I don't see that. It's way easier. And just like from a neuroscience perspective, like our brains naturally find the negative, right?
Mm.
It's a protection mechanism. So even trying to find the positive can be challenging sometimes. Do you have
Yeah.
any really practical ways for parents who are like, I've never done this before. I don't know how to be intentional with speaking words of honey.
Yeah. It's like when they talk, when, you know, how they talk about when you are trying to get rid of a bad habit, you need to replace it with a good one. Because if we just try to stop doing something and
Mhm.
have nothing to replace it with, then we're always going to fall back on the bad habit. So instead, if you're trying to, let's say, quit smoking instead of, I don't know, instead of you get up and you start exercising in the morning, I don't know, you replace it with something positive. Same thing. That's one of the reasons throughout the book that I talk about replacing, because we need to have something to replace it with. So yeah, we're going to fall back, and we do. And even when we're super intentional, we still use those phrases. I tell a story in the book about one of the phrases to try to minimize, which is be careful. And I
Talk about
talk
more of
all
that in a
about it.
second. Go ahead.
I talk all about be careful, and then I'm very transparent. So I then talk about how while I was writing this chapter or this little part of the book, my my 13-year-old was playing with my baby and chasing her around, and I literally yelled at him, "Hey, be careful." And as I'm talking about not saying be careful, I am saying be careful. And so that's the thing. We are always going to, we're going to mess up. We're going to say these things. They come naturally. They're easy to say. They just come out. And that is why my heart around this book and around this message is really awareness, because the more that we know and understand, the better we will do at minimizing and reducing and changing what we say and repairing when we don't. So for everything that you try to like eliminate or reduce, have something you can put in its place. It's it makes it a lot easier to remember not to say such and such if you're working intentionally on saying this instead. And then not beating yourself up when you don't do it. Just realizing, yep, I'm a person and I am not always going to be perfect. I'm not always going to remember, especially in the moment. It's hard, but awareness is key and repair is key.
Yeah, so going to that example, I was laughing because I have someone in my life who's always saying to me, "Be careful," and it's from a loving place, but my
Yeah.
response is always, "Careful is my middle name," because if you know me, I'm like misadventure, and careful is definitely not my middle name. But why would that be a phrase that we might not want to use? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah. So first I'll say we all say be careful. As I said, I say be careful. But it is something that I try to minimize. And the reason is that be careful is very vague. Instead of giving our kids something to be careful of, we are giving that we can create fear,
Right.
because especially when they're younger, because they're hearing be careful and they don't know what to be careful of. They're just like, there's a danger around here. So one, they suddenly are like, where's this danger? And two, they'll take a step back. They'll be like, oh, I should be afraid here. I don't know what to, if I want to do this anymore. There's something scary, something's going on. It's just like a vague scenario, and it can build anxiety, and it can actually reduce critical thinking skills. But instead, if we can tell them, when you're walking on those rocks, pay attention because some might be wet, which will make them slippery, or something like, look how close you are to the edge of that cliff.
Yeah.
Or watch the branches as you're climbing the tree, keep an eye on them. Just something to help them understand exactly where this danger could be, what they should be paying attention to, what they should be observing. That helps with their skills of observation, with their attention, with their critical thinking. They start to be aware of their surroundings. As they get older, they will know to look for these things on their own, instead of just being like, okay, there's a danger and I don't know what it is. I don't know.
No. So in the example you were talking about, like where you said be careful, and I don't remember what you said, like your son was chasing the baby or something like that. Would
Yeah,
it be like watch out for the baby's fingers, or make
exactly,
sure the baby
exactly.
doesn't run into the wall or table, or yeah.
Exactly. It would be something like, remember that she's little,
Yes.
and is it just learning to walk?
Right.
So he could pay attention to how fast he's chasing her
Mm.
and where he's chasing her to and that kind of thing. It's just giving more context to this phrase instead of just shouting out that there's some unknown danger and expecting them to know what it is.
Yeah. No, that's really helpful. And I could totally see that too, because oftentimes when someone said be careful to me, then I end up like tripping or something. Because it
Right?
does create kind of like anxiety in
Yeah.
you, even if you're not consciously thinking about it, and then your body responds. So
Yeah.
are there other words or patterns that we use that could unintentionally cause anxiety?
Yeah. Actually, a big one that we use, especially with younger kids, is hurry up. And if you think about how often young kids hear this phrase,
Yeah.
we're getting ready in the morning, hurry up, we need to leave the park, hurry up, it's dinner time, hurry up, dad's almost home, hurry up, get in the car, hurry up, get your shoes on, hurry up.
That's all we
Um,
do is hurry,
it
hurry,
is.
hurry.
Yeah. And there's actually something called hurried child syndrome, which is an anxiety that a child develops based on the quickness of their life, based on being hurried, being rushed. Kids hear this hurry up, and a lot of times they go into fight, flight, or freeze mode.
Mm,
And over time, you say it here and there, whatever, but they're constantly hearing this message. They really start to develop this anxiety and this feeling of always being rushed and always being needing it. It's funny because our last talk was about the gift of a slow childhood, which is
yeah.
the exact opposite of being rushed. And our children deserve that slow childhood. But that phrase, hurry up, really builds into them. And it's funny because it does a lot. Many kids will freeze when they hear hurry up, and
Mhm,
that
mhm.
completely works against what we're trying to get them to do.
Yep.
And again, context is so helpful. Like, instead of saying hurry up, we can make it fun, or we can make it give them awareness. Oh, we have to leave the park. Let's race and see who can get to the car first.
Mhm.
Or, oh, dad's almost home. He's bringing dessert tonight. Let's go see what he brings. Anything that will get them invested and ready to go instead of just hurry up, move along, get and put them in that state of rush.
Yeah, I feel like I live in that state because
Yeah.
of my ADHD. It's I'll try to, oh, I got 15 minutes till I have to go. I'm gonna go do XYZ. And then it's, oh wait, I have to leave in 1 minute now. And I'm like,
Oh yeah.
rather than like when I realized we had 15 minutes, I should have started getting ready then. I'm
Yeah.
but there's still part of me like,
Yeah.
hurry up, but I realize I'm like causing it to myself. And I don't know if you talk about this in the book, but I'd love to just get your thoughts on it. I think oftentimes the words that come out of us naturally are often because those are the words that we're saying to ourselves.
Oh yeah, for
And so
sure.
we don't know how to talk to ourselves with words like honey. show ourselves that kind of love and kindness. And so then that judgment, that kind of automatic annoyance with ourselves comes out.
Yeah.
Kids, have you experienced that? Or
Oh
do you
yeah,
in the book?
absolutely. And yes, I talk about triggers in the book, which I think
Okay.
that's so much of what that is.
Yeah.
We experience something ourselves, and that causes a trigger in us, so that when something similar is happening with our kid,
Yep.
we are quick to snap or to say to them what we're also saying to ourselves. And yeah, and I talk about that a lot, and how we can heal that and how we can repair with our kids when we realize that's what we're doing. When we realize that we are being triggered, and we need to be honest and open with them and let them know, this is something that's going on. I'm working on this. I'm sorry for taking that out on you.
Do you have an example you can give us of one of those triggers?
Yeah, I really, it's a really silly one, but for me, I was really triggered as a new mom by kids asking what was for dinner. For me, like,
Food. That's what
I
I
have
always say,
such a,
food.
yeah, that's what my mom did. She always said food. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that when I'm a mom. Like, that is just
That's so funny.
ridiculous. And then of course, as soon as I became a mom and I'm asked that question, that came out, food, food. And I would get so annoyed with myself. And so then I'd start getting annoyed with them when they would ask what was for dinner, because I didn't want to say this thing that I
Yeah.
never wanted to say and thought was annoying. And then I was just mad that they were asking what was for dinner. Come on, there's going to be dinner in a little bit. Who cares what it's going to be? And I really, for a while, just started getting snappy with them. And eventually I realized, what am I doing? Like, I had such issues with food growing up, and with this phrase, and with all of these things. And I'm just taking it out on them when they're just innocently asking and wanting to know what's for dinner. And so I had to tell them, I'm sorry. This is something that I have dealt with my whole life. I don't know why I'm getting snappy with you. It's honestly not a big deal that you're asking what's for dinner. I'm going to try to, and I actually started doing this, was doing the menu and putting it up so the kids could go and see what was for dinner
Yeah.
each night. But I told them, I'm sure sometimes I'll mess up. If you do ask me, I'm sure sometimes I'll be frustrated. I'm working on it. I'm sorry. Try to have grace on me and just remind me, Mom, you said it was okay to ask. Because I am going to mess up sometimes. And I know that. But again, repair is key, transparency is key. Our kids see us as human beings when we are transparent with them. They understand we're just people too. And that kind of helps them to understand that they don't need to be perfect. They're going to make mistakes. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I think that's really key. I'm glad you brought that up about the triggers and noticing what does set you off, where you might say something that you don't want to say,
Yeah.
and then how to deal with that trigger. And sometimes it can be really practical. Oh, I'm just going to come up with a system for this, and I'll put the food on the food. I'll put what's for dinner on the fridge, and then,
Yeah.
well, what's for dinner? And then, but again, or I'll have the stuff for church packed up the night before so I don't have to say hurry
Yeah.
up 25 times on a Sunday morning. There's ways to combat that, but it's still having the conversation about what might set you off that is really key for kids because they're going to have their triggers too.
Exactly. Exactly.
What difference has this made in your family with being more intentional with the word that you've chosen? How have you seen that kind of take shape and what have the benefits been for your family?
We have, it's really created an environment where we're just open and honest with each other, and where I know that our kids they feel, I think, comfortable in communicating, in being honest with us. Our kids, especially when they go into their teens and later years, they are not afraid to come to us and tell us the hard things, or the things that I probably would have hidden from my parents when I was a
Yeah.
teen. Our kids will come talk to us about that stuff. And that to me is everything. When your adult kids call you or come home because they need something, they need help, they want to be with you and want to talk through things with you, even things that they know might stress you out or be hard for you to hear, then you can go, okay, I built this foundation. I I gave them this comfort in knowing they are safe with us. And I just think that is everything. And we didn't, again, I wasn't totally intentional with words with when my older kids were younger, but a lot of that has been the repair as they've gotten older, has been saying, I know I'm doing this differently with the younger kids. I'm sorry I wasn't aware when you were younger. Let's talk through some of these things that maybe you're feeling I did and I shouldn't have, or said and I shouldn't have. And having those conversations, and that in itself, even when your kids are older, starts to build that foundation of, okay, I can trust my parents, I can be comfortable with them, I can be secure. And so just that place of love and acceptance and everyone knowing their value and knowing that they are safe at home and safe with their parents is that's what I feel like we are building and what I hope to help other families build.
Yeah, it's so important because it can be very scary when there are teens and young adults and they're hiding things and they're doing that out of fear, right? And so you want to create that safe place, that safe environment where they feel like they can tell you what they're struggling with, what's going on.
Mm,
And so I can see how being very intentional with your words could help build that safety. But I also think of, I don't know how to word this, like our kids need to be able to feel safe talking to us. So it's more
mhm,
of, instead of us saying the right thing per se,
mhm.
listening.
Yeah, yeah,
Does that make sense? So do you want to talk about that,
absolutely.
or like
I
what
do.
have you done to
Yeah.
be a good listener, I guess. The other
Yeah.
side.
Actually, when I'm talking about the types of speech that and ways of talking to minimize, I talk about talking too much and
Okay.
how
Yes. Let me
and
give you a
how we
lecture on the 17 points of why I'm right and you should do what I say. Yes.
yeah, yeah. And one thing that I say is when your kids are getting older and they're get entering their teen years, one practice that we have is when they come to you, you say to them, "Are you looking for advice or do you just want me to listen?" And if they just want you to listen, then you just listen. And no matter how hard that is. And but also on the that foundation starts to be built in those early years with things like not always telling our kids to be quiet, even though they're being so loud in the room where we are, and it's so annoying, and they won't stop asking why.
Or what's for
If we're
dinner?
con yeah, exactly. If we're constantly saying, "Shush, not right now. Stop asking that. Go do something else." If we're pushing them away when they're in that annoying, like always blabbing, making sounds phase, then we're just training them to
Mm,
not come to us later
yeah.
when they are in a time when they need to talk, when they have things going on. And so in the younger years, we need to embrace them and allow some sound. It's okay to say quiet down sometimes, but sometimes we need to let that sound rain out and to let them ask those why questions or tell us those 30-minute stories that make zero sense. And then as they get older, they have been used to talking to us. They know they can talk to us, and then they start to come to us with harder things. And then we say, "Are you looking for advice? Or do you just want someone to listen?" And we honor that and we respect that and we use active listening so that we can understand what they're saying. We ask them questions to clarify, to make sure we are hearing them correctly. And then we just again repair when we do talk too much or we do offer that unsolicited advice or we do quiet them way too many times. We just say, "I'm sorry. I want to hear you." Like, what's on your heart?
Yeah. You use the term active listening. Can you define that just in case someone doesn't know what that is?
Yeah. So active listening is just listening, but being an active participant to make sure that we can really hear the person who is talking to us. And I know there are different ways that people utilize active listening, but one of my favorites is to ask those clarifying questions when there's a pause, not to interject, but to wait and then to ask a clarifying question. So instead of to have a reaction. So if your kid comes to you and is, "I hate Bob," we don't say, "You shouldn't hate Bob." We clarify what they're saying. "Oh, you're really upset with Bob right now?" And then that gives them the opportunity to talk about how they're feeling about Bob. And they may say something such as, he is literally the worst human being on the planet, which again is not really giving us much information. So
Yeah.
we can ask a clarifying question again. Bob's doing something that is upsetting you right now, and that gives them the opportunity to clarify. It's not that he's doing something that is upsetting to me, it's just that had he got something that I really wanted and was bragging about it and et cetera. It just on and on that. You just you don't offer advice, you don't tell them they're wrong, but you ask clarifying questions with their broad statements because a lot of times when kids talk, it's broad, it's dramatic. So you ask those clarifying questions that help them to be more clear with what they're saying so that you can understand and get to a point where, okay, would you like some advice here? Or were you just wanting me to hear this now that I understand? And it helps us also not to to have so much fear about what our kids are saying because if they just come, I hate Bob. He's the worst person ever. Oh my gosh, I'm never going to talk to him again. We might just start feeling, okay, they shouldn't hate. They shouldn't feel that way
Yeah, I
about
was
people.
gonna
What is
say
going
that's
on? It
the
just
typical
brings up
response I hear is
fear.
like, we're not supposed to hate anyone.
Yeah, exactly. And then we start, oh my gosh, our kids, what is wrong with them? Why are they acting like this or feeling this way about people? That something is going on. But instead of being in that place of fear, now we understand what is actually happening. We've helped them clarify what's going on, and then we can take it from there and feel better about it.
Yes, that's so key. And I do think that I'm so glad you brought that up because I do feel like that creates a lot of the automatic response or the triggers is because
Mm,
what our kids say, it either speaks to our
yeah,
fear or it speaks to our shame. And
exactly.
we got to fix it. And we got to,
Right.
now we're moving on. And hearing you say all this, it does seem like this takes more time. Sometimes it's like,
Mm,
if I just shut this down, I can go back to what I
yeah.
was doing. We don't hate people. Thank you. Bye. Not
Mm,
going to have this 2-minute conversation. But really, 2 minutes isn't that much time. We think it's,
yeah.
oh, if I stop right now and I do this active listening or I reframe or I do the repair, I'm never going to have time for it. But you have 9 kids. So
Yeah.
you obviously aren't like just rolling around in oodles of time. So how do you balance that and take the time to listen, take the time to hear what your kids are saying, take the time to make the repairs when I imagine your life is very full?
Yeah, it's not constant. But when things do come up, it does take more time. It takes more time to be present. It takes
Mhm.
more time to be intentional. And that's just a decision that my husband and I have made that this matters. This is one of our top priorities is being a safe place of comfort and healing for our kids. And so we're okay with taking the time that we need to take. And but again, not most things don't require that much time. Most moments of active listening are literally, as you said, 2 minutes. Like they're quick. It
Yeah.
doesn't, most things aren't immense.
Yeah.
They're easy to navigate. And instead of saying hurry up, saying the 2 words of hurry up, saying 15 words that provide context and
Mhm.
clarification and give our kids some buy in, it doesn't take that much time. So there are going to be moments that do, but you know what? I think that the time that when it does take more time, that is productive time. That's time of connection. That's time that is being built into our relationships and into connecting and growing with our kids. And so it is always time well spent. If we're just brushing off something out of fear or out of time constraint or out of whatever, sure, we're gaining a little time, but for what?
Yeah.
Because we're also building a little separation between ourselves and our kids.
I really feel like what you're saying really applies to homeschooling as well, because I
Mhm.
see this like just an example that popped in my head was like, I don't like this book. This is boring. And then instead of doing like what you're saying, this active listening, we're so stressed about trying to finish whatever subject it is in a certain amount of time that we're just like, this is what we're doing. You have to do what I say. and we want to shut it down rather than taking time. What about it is boring? Why do you think that?
Yeah.
Or they're mad at their brother in the middle of a math lesson or something like that, and then taking the time to hear what's going on. We're just
Yeah.
everybody needs to sit down, everybody needs to do their work, or hurry up. Why haven't you finished this? This was due an hour ago. Like those kind of things that we're saying all the time during our homeschool day. How have you seen what you're saying here with this book? How does it apply to, because that's typically my audience here, to homeschooling? Have you seen a difference? How does that work?
Yeah, it is exactly what you just said. It's not just jumping to, we need to check this box, so I don't care, but it's actually listening. By listening, I was able to discover that my son was dyslexic
Wow.
just from listening to him,
Mm,
just from not rushing him and not saying, you need to, no, you should be able to read that by now. This
yep.
isn't hard. It's part of your curriculum. Go read it. But hearing him, hearing the struggle he was having, and not creating shame,
Mm,
not comparing him to where he should be, but just listening to him. And the funny thing is that the I hate this book that has been huge in our lives. There are some books that I am really adamant about my kids reading, but a lot of them, I will listen to them. I'll be like, "What about it do you not like? What's the problem with this book?" And giving them that voice. Or, "Come on, it's time to get started with school." And they're just like, "No, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it."
yeah.
Why? What is going on? Maybe there's something they're struggling with. Maybe they're deep in play and like they have this amazing learning happening right in front of them that we actually want them to engage in. And by rushing them away from it and not listening to them, we're preventing something that we actually would want them to do. So there are so many opportunities throughout our day to just listen to our kids and take time to understand what they're feeling, why they don't want to do something or do want to do something. I've had times when I've had kids who were like, too young, like it was hard for them to explain what was going on
Yeah.
and why they didn't. So they were just acting up, like crying. They didn't want this to happen. They didn't want this to happen. And when you sit down and walk through it with them and take the time to look them in the eyes and be like, what's going on here? I've just had amazing revelations with my kids, like a kid who was trying to make a present for their baby sister. I've had a kid who was sad about something that had happened and was feeling left out, and I thought they were just being mean and defiant. All of these different things that have given me the opportunity to address them appropriately and in a way that really nurtured them instead of just shutting them down.
Mm. It really ties into and I'll put this in the show notes, our last conversation, because if you don't have margin and you're not intentionally giving your kids the gift of a slow childhood, it is harder to take the time to listen when you're always rushing to the next thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I do see how those kind of tie in together and creates a beautiful,
Mhm.
really beautiful opportunity and a really beautiful relationship. And what a
Yeah.
gift it is you're giving to your kids, because by giving them this slower childhood, they have this opportunity to actually be heard and seen,
Yeah.
which is a beautiful thing. So thank you so much for joining me today. This was a wonderful
Well,
conversation. How can
thank
everyone
you,
get
Julie.
in touch with you and get your book and all the stuff?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Simple Little Amy. My website is simplelittleamy.com, and my book is available wherever you buy books.
Is it available for pre-order? It comes
It
out in
is,
September, right? Which I think
it
is what
comes out
matters anyway, but yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
it comes out September 9th, so
In all the book places.
in all the book places, and it's
Okay.
available for pre-order now. Yeah.
Okay. And I'll put that in the show notes. And thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much, Julie.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. Let's wrap up with some key takeaways. Number one, unintentional harm matters. Many parents don't realize that common phrases can deeply affect how children view themselves in the world, even if it's just said as a joke. Number two, words stick longer than we think. Children often internalize adult speech literally, especially when they're young and lack the brain development to interpret nuance. Amy shared a practical 4R framework to help you with your communication. The first one was rethink, pause to reflect on whether your words align with the message you intended. Number two, replace, Swap out vague or harmful phrases with ones that give clarity and support. Number 3, reframe. Adjust how you express correction or direction in a positive, empowering way. And then number 4, repair. Be willing to apologize, revisit past words, and make amends. This builds trust and heals the relationship with your child. Remember, apologizing goes a long way. Modeling humility and owning mistake builds safety. Even when children are older, it teaches them that we don't need to be perfect, and it opens the door for honest conversation. And last but not least, slowing down helps us hear. Many parenting conflicts happen because we're too rushed to listen. Slowing our pace, especially during the homeschool day, makes room for curiosity and leads to deeper connections with our children. Make sure to check out the show notes for the links to Amy's social media and for the link to purchase her new book, Words Like Honey. Thanks for listening. Hey there, Julie Ross here. I just wanted to say thank you for listening to today's episode. If you like this show, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a positive review in iTunes. This really does help people learn about the podcast. And each month I will pick a winner to receive a free gift. Don't forget to check out all the free resources we created for you at thefeastlife.me. Thank you.